Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life. Oh no, I don't have my mic in. Give me just a second. Let's see if I can hook this up. Cha cha cha. I was out today, and I normally do book reviews on Monday, so I was out today. I'm glad I hadn't filmed the book review yet because I got this amazing book and I'm going to review it later. But it really brought to mind some of the things we've been talking about. What do we do in the post-Vatican II church? I mean, sometimes women are claiming that they're hearing a calling and they become Eucharistic ministers, or girls become altar servers, or little ladies become altar servers. And then you have women who think they should do kitchen masses where they bake the bread with people in the church and then serve it. Not just women, guys have this too. They're like, what is my role then? Because women are taking all the roles and guys are trying to figure out what their role is. And so I thought I'd get on here because I've been talking about this a lot. It's kind of funny. Nope, all my notes. I don't know where my notes are. I wrote them like in the back of a prayer book during Mass when this started coming to me, and this book really brought it home. And I'm wearing the apron. So, hey, like if you're a woman who loves to cook and you think you have a calling, and so you feel like it has something to do with the Eucharist, and should you be a Eucharistic minister, or should you become a woman priest and do a kitchen mass? Hey, you know what? There are some really awesome callings for women that have to do with baking and the priesthood. And when I grew up, those were women who volunteered. Each woman took a different night of the week to cook dinner for our priests. A lot of churches have gotten away from that, and I'm not sure why. Even for married priests, because married priests have it pretty hard because it is almost impossible to support a family on a priest's salary because the Catholic Church isn't set up for that, and we really want to help out those priests who's converted from Anglicanism or another faith tradition where they already were married and had a family. So we could support them by finding out, hey, what night of the week could I make dinner for your family, and what are some recipes you may like? You could literally volunteer to feed your priest, who then goes out and feeds the congregation. It's not as flashy or fun, and you may not feel as important as being a Eucharistic minister, but you're literally feeding the church. It's awesome. If you are a really good baker, you may be able to even bake cookies or some really healthy homemade snacks for your local shelter. I know people are probably turning this on and saying, like, what is she saying? I'm legit saying this. One of the local food pantries in our town, in the big city of Baltimore, there's two main soup pantries, or food pantries, and one serves these casseroles that one time we made one from their recipes, and they were awful. It was almost all canned soup. I found it was inedible, and it was very unhealthy. So if you are someone who can cook, offer to cook something super healthy. You can still make it soup, but use fresh or frozen ingredients, and you can make a super healthy soup to be served to people, to give them back some of their dignity, but help keep them healthy. And you think that's doing nothing. But in this day where we are rocked by a pandemic, do you know how far a steady supply of healthy meals will help the poor? Like, are you kidding? Most cities, and you don't realize this if you live in the country, most cities are food deserts. Go drive through a city and try and find grocery stores. I invite you to go in and see what's in those grocery stores, and you will find the prices are ridiculously high and there's not as much fresh produce. Baltimore City used to have something called the Arabbers. They actually went around with a cart and a horse-drawn cart and called out, and they had the fresh produce, and they called it out that they had it and went through the streets, and they sold fresh produce that way. And those times are gone. There's one or two Arabbers left, but it can be really hard for the poor to get good fresh fruit and food. And so you would be doing an immense service by giving them healthy food so that their immune systems have a chance to fight off this pandemic. Healthy food is going to improve them so much. The kids can concentrate better in school, and if they do better in school, they're going to probably do better in life. You can really set people up for a living with your simple cooking and baking, and you are supporting the church. You are literally being Christ to them. So you're not quite the priest in persona Christi, But he said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do it to me, and you do it for him. That's a marvelous gift. Like, whoever came out in the 70s and said this stuff was not valuable, don't listen to them. It is immensely valuable. Let's say you have an amazing talent with musical instruments or singing, and you're like, well, I want to give that back to God, so I want to do it in church. I am not going to assume that I can play my ukulele in church. Now, if I'm at a retreat or I'm doing it in private prayer where I want some music to go along with the liturgy of the hours that I'm praying personally or in a small group, and that's the only instrument I can play, odds are, most people don't have a full organ in their house. Go ahead and play your ukulele to your small group, or your harmonica, your dulcimer, your bagpipes, whatever. But maybe not in Mass. But how wonderful. Go play in a nursing home. Offer to give concerts for free in the city. Maybe you could have something where they have the food giveaways and stuff now. Most of the food pantries don't have like an indoor seating area, but perhaps you could have an outdoor seating area. And if you have a really portable instrument like a ukulele, hey, go along. Maybe go to those encampments and have a little sing-along. What an amazing experience that could be. Remember, whatever you do to the least of these, teach a child how to play a musical instrument. Just because you're not doing it in church doesn't mean you're not doing it for God or you're not praising God. We praise God with our whole life. Remember, pray unceasingly. Your prayer may look like cooking dinner once a month for your priest. It may look like teaching a small child how to make cookies. Those are valid things, friends. Maybe you could farm. Maybe you can hook up with your local shelter to bring in some of the produce. There's always that friend who has that bumper crop of tomatoes or zucchini or something. Hook yourself up with a local food bank that when that happens, you're able to donate that fresh produce and put it out with the rest of the food at the food pantry and let them select some fresh fruits and vegetables. That is such an amazing blessing. Yes, we all want to participate in the Mass, and how that looks is different for everyone. Some of my friends know, and if you've watched me a lot, you know that during Lectio Divina, I tend to draw pictures as well. And a lot of people enjoy looking at those pictures. Probably not everyone. It's my own silly little artwork. But what a gift. I don't expect the priest to be at the end of Mass, Gianna, could you come up here and share your artwork? Or just, no. But that is a form of praying that I do. That is how I engage my body. Sometimes in prayer is putting those mental images down. And a lot of times when I start, I have no idea how it's going to end up, but it helps me enter more fully into the prayer, sometimes to be drawing. Sometimes it is singing. Sometimes it's saying the responses. Sometimes it's praying silently. It's not going to look the same for everyone. But if your objection to the Latin Mass is that you don't participate enough, you're doing it wrong, because you should be praying daily. It should be in everything. So what are some other awesome gifts that people have? If you're super friendly, ladies, and you feel like you should be the greeters at church, that used to be a men's ministry. So that used to be one of the minor orders, right? Kind of like the porter. Let men have that back. What can we ladies do? Oh my goodness, how many ministries out there that could use some energetic, outgoing women? Women, if you really, really are devoted to the Eucharist, and what could you do? Host a Eucharistic Congress. If you don't have perpetual adoration at your church, you could organize it. There's also the Seven Sisters Apostolate, so that there's a woman every day of the week praying for each of the priests at your parish. We really need to lift them up in prayer, ladies. And this is such a wonderful ministry. Our priests are loving it. There are so many things. So look at your talent and don't try to force it in there. If you're not sure where it needs to go, take it out. Do one of those inventories. Absolutely. St. Catherine of Siena Institute, I believe, has one of those inventories, or if your church does it at Pentecost where you write down one of your gifts. Don't think that you have to take a ministry away from someone else or change the Mass to fit your talent. Perhaps there's another way it could fit in and bless other people. Just some ideas. And I know all of you are going to have some wonderful ideas too. Oh, look at my quirky little habit that has been helping others. I do close captioning. When I don't do them for these videos, when I get really behind, friends, it's because I'm closed captioning a whole bunch of videos for the John Bradburn Memorial Society, where I'm not only helping out in a cause for sainthood for John Bradburn up here, but I'm helping his little family at Matemwa by closed captioning their videos, which is it's a weird talent that I developed. I'm not super great at it, but it is something that I can give to the children and the people of Matemwa, and so I love doing it. It's a way to serve God, because not everybody can understand their accents or understands English, and by having accurate subtitles, people know what they're saying, and then it can be translated accurately into other languages, and you can reach everyone in the world. If your parish priest has videos, encourage him to try subtitling, or better yet, volunteer for it. Take something off his plate. Like, hey, maybe somebody could make him lunch once a week. They are so busy, friends. Let's try and think of ways we can support our priests instead of always complaining that my priest doesn't do this or doesn't do that, doesn't accommodate me enough. He's trying to lead us all to Christ. He doesn't need to worry about what he has to make for lunch that day. We can do it. Let's see. I really, really love how God takes all our rough little edges and makes them into something golden and beautiful. So if you have some little unknown talent, it could really be put at the service of Christ. What is that talent? Go to someone at your church who helps you figure out what ministry you belong to. If you belong to a tiny church, maybe this is easier to figure out, but then again, maybe you have to start something new. Like maybe you don't have a 24/7 Adoration chapel yet. How are you going to figure out how to do that? That's something we're going to talk about when we get into this book. I'm so excited. But otherwise, find out who in your parish handles that and try and really discern. Don't try and jump in and try and rearrange the whole mass around you. Try and figure out how you could really be at the service of Christ and really discern, like John Michael Talbot. We were doing St. Francis's admonition number 8 in his book, the St. Francis's Sermon on the Mount, the Admonitions by John Michael Talbot. And I think it's admonition 8 that's on envy. And be happy for somebody else. Be like, oh, altar boys, hey, that's really awesome. They have a way to kind of try out being a priest and to be involved in the ministry, but as young men, and they really gain that experience. And so ladies, don't take that from them. There are plenty of wonderful ministries for little girls. We used to have like the May crowning, all the Eucharistic processions where the girls would dress up in their best dresses and go and lead us in adoration. Bring that back. Bring it back. Let the children lead it to us. We don't need to steal other people's ministries. They already exist. And there are so many wonderful traditions. There is something out there for you, friends. You just kind of have to figure out where it goes, right? I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are, how your little services. Hey, remember our friend John Kramer, who builds the Lego churches as a way to talk about disability and inclusion. And hey, there's a great ministry out there. If you like driving, there are plenty of people in every parish who don't come to church or church activities because they don't drive or don't have a car. And can you help them get to church? I bet you could. If you like driving and you're really friendly, that could be a wonderful ministry for you. Give it a try. Ask your church, where are the needs, and see if you fit into some of them. We have those regular ministry fairs where different groups say what they do and then you decide what club to join. Meh. Have a list of needs without the group's names up there, maybe, and then see what people think. They say, oh, you need a baker. What is that opportunity? And they go to the table and they find out what baking opportunities there are or something. You could really blow the cover off this. Be a community again is what I'm really saying. You don't need to worry about this or that. Or just be a community. Don't worry about I feel a calling and I think the church should accommodate my calling and they don't currently, but I'm going to make them. Don't be that. Don't be that Karen. Don't be that Karen. Instead say, hey, God has given me this talent. How does he want me to use it? How can I help the Christ that is in my fellow parishioner or person in the community? And I bet you're going to find some amazing opportunities out there. God bless you, friends. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Bye, friends.